Wine cellar defenders are a critical component of any well-conceived wine collection. What is a cellar defender? Well, in simple terms, it's a wine that's both ready to drink immediately and a wine that's enjoyable enough that it will keep you from indulging in the temptation to open a bottle that you should be aging. And by should be aging, I mean a wine that has not yet entered its drinking window and will only continue to improve such that it would be a shame to open it now. A couple quick points. Wine cellar defenders will vary a bit by person and budget. Also, while wine cellar defenders tend to be wines that have high quality to price ratios, it's not necessarily the same thing as a daily drinker or a bargain wine. Rather, a wine cellar defender has to be interesting enough that it will prevent you from opening a bottle that you enjoy. So it can't just be a pedestrian wine or some generic private labeled wine that you picked up on closeout. In my experience, Rioja makes one of the very best wine cellar defenders. This is so because a lot of the Reservas and Gran Reservas are aged extensively at the winery before they're released. So even if you open them immediately after release, they still have some complexity and are very enjoyable. But yet many of them are also capable of undergoing further aging as well. So they give you lots of flexibility in your cellar. Better still, Rioja is extremely affordable relative to other collectible wines. So in this video, I'm going to share some of my very favorite Rioja wines that I use to defend my own wine cellar. The next top wine for $30 a bottle comes from a legendary Spanish producer that's located in Rioja. This impressive wine comes from younger vines from this producer. That means that they still average an impressive 40 years of age. This is a vineyard that's certainly capable of producing Gran Reserva quality fruit, but because Lopez de Heredia finds it extremely important to be able to produce a wine in the Crianza category, customers are actually getting incredible value when they buy the 2016 Lopez de Heredia Cubillo Crianza, which sells for around $30 per bottle and is definitely well received by critics. This is certainly a wine that compares favorably to many Gran Reservas. In fact, the aging regimen for this wine lasted 4 years, as they mature it for 2 years in used American oak, and then another 2 years in bottle before it's released. This is a wine that's a blend of Tempranillo, Mezzuelo, Garnacha, and Graciano. The 2016 vintage was a little bit cooler than 2015, and so this vintage has definitely a little bit more freshness and acidity, which I certainly enjoy. Compared to the Tondonia bottling, this one is a little bit more rustic, but at half the price, you really can't go wrong. The next top wine for $25 a bottle comes from a world-class producer that's one of my favorite producers, not just in Spain, but in the entire world. This is a historic producer that was founded back in 1852. Unlike many Rioja producers that source the vast majority of the fruit that is used to make their wines, Marquez de Maretta produces all its wines exclusively from its 300 hectares of estate vineyards that are located near Logrono. So the next top wine for $25 per bottle is the highly acclaimed 2020 Marquez de Maretta Rioja. This is a Tempranillo dominant red blend that consists of 82% Tempranillo, 8% Graciano, 7% Mezzuelo. Mezzuelo is also more commonly referred to as Carignan other places, and 3% Garnacha. This is a wine that comes in at 14% alcohol by volume. It was matured for 2 years in American oak, 10% of which is new, and then another 14 months in bottle before it was released. The 2020 version of this wine is a little bit more like the 2018 bottling than the 2019, so you can find that this one will be a little bit more elegant. This wine has pronounced aromatics with flavors and aromas that include mixed red fruit, cedar, and floral notes. It has a silky, long finish and ample acidity. This is a wine that you can enjoy young, but it's also very age-worthy as well. In fact, I've had examples of this wine that have had 10 to 15 years or more of age on them, and it still shows extremely well. Iconic Spanish winery La Rioja Alta traces its roots way back to 1890. La Rioja Alta's wines are the result of traditional winemaking principles combined with the use of modern, state-of-the-art winemaking technology. As but one example, Rioja Alta recently deployed an optical sorting machine in their winery. The result was a much greater selection of fruit that eliminated some fruit that had previously gone into the wines. As a result, quality is higher than ever across the board. La Rioja Alta sources the fruit for its Tempranillo-based wines from some of the best areas in Rioja. They control every aspect of the wine production and even craft their own barrels internally. The next top wine for $40 a bottle is the 2017 La Rioja Alta Vina Ardanza Reserva. This wine is a blend that consists of 80% Tempranillo and 20% Garnacha. This fruit was all organically farmed. Descriptors for this wine include mixed berry, licorice, spice, and balsamic. Comes in at 14.5% alcohol by volume. This is one that's already showing well on release, but it will certainly cruise in your cellar for up to 6 or 7 years or so. Bodega Muga is a family-owned, quality-minded producer in Rioja, Spain, that focuses on traditional winemaking principles, yet embraces modern technology to help produce its outstanding wines. On this channel, I oftentimes focus on big themes based on strength of vintages in particular regions. And so it is with the 2019 Bodega Muga Seleccion Especiale Reserva Rioja. 2019 was a phenomenal vintage in Rioja, arguably one of the best in the last 20 years. And so you'll definitely want to consider this outstanding wine, which was highly acclaimed, yet sells for only around $50 per bottle. Seleccion Especiale is not produced every year. Rather, it's only produced in great vintages, such as 2019. When it is produced, it's based on an extremely strict selection of fruit from some of the family's best vineyards that are planted on hillsides and high elevation sites with very, very poor soils. The result is extremely low yields and some intensely concentrated, impressive fruit. This wine is Tempranillo dominant, but it also includes some Garnacha, Mossuelo, and Graciano. The 2019 Seleccion Especiale is a powerful wine, and it's one that will definitely show its best only after some additional aging. If you buy multiple bottles, you can definitely enjoy one young in a pinch, but you'll definitely want to give it a long decant and enjoy it with food, such as lamb or red meat. I'm a big fan of a number of Spanish white wines due to some of my experiences while traveling in Spain, and in fact, I think a number of them are extremely underrated. This next top wine for $50 a bottle comes from a very special property in Rioja that's owned by iconic Rioja producer CVNE, or Compañía Vinícola del Norte de España. I visited Contino a couple years ago and met with a relatively new winemaker at that time, and was extremely impressed with the Cantino Blanco. So the next top wine for $50 a bottle is the 2018 Cantino Blanco. Contino is a very warm property with ideal sun exposure, and it produces some outstanding red wines, but it can also make some impressive white wines, especially in cooler vintages such as 2018. To help ensure that this wine had adequate freshness and acidity, they also selected fruit from a number of the old vines, and they also suppressed malolactic fermentation to further help preserve acidity and freshness. This wine is a blend that consists of 90% Viura and 10% Garnacha Blanc. This wine comes in at around 12.6% alcohol by volume. It matured in 30% concrete and 70% large oak barriques. This wine reminds me a little bit of a Northern Rhone white wine, so if you're a fan of Northern Rhone whites, you'll probably like this one as well. It has a bit of a waxy texture to it, and the flavor profile includes lemon, apple, crushed rock, and mixed spice. This wine is extraordinarily food-friendly, so I hope you'll give it a shot and enjoy it as much as I do. So the next top wine for around $30 per bottle comes from Remelluri, and this is the 2019 Remelluri Lindes de Remelluri Labastida. The fruit for this wine comes from selected parcels from growers that are located in the village of Labastida. The vineyards are planted at elevations ranging from 440 to around 710 meters above sea level. This is a wine that comes in at around 14% alcohol by volume. This wine is fermented with native yeast and it's matured in a variety of oak barrels for around 13 months or so. This is a vibrant Rioja with black cherry, balsamic, mixed spice, and pepper notes. It's one you can enjoy immediately or over the next few years or so. If you're interested in wine recommendations, wine collecting strategies, and learning more about wine, please do subscribe to my channel. I've been collecting wine for more than 15 years and also have a level 4 diploma from the WSET. So I have both formal certification as well as substantial practical knowledge from the School of Hard Knocks. Fans of Spanish wines will appreciate this next recommendation, which sells for as little as $20 or so in the United States, and undoubtedly significantly less than that in the EU. This is the 2020 Palacios Romando Finca La Montesa Rioja. This is a wine that's dominant in Garnacha, but it usually includes some Tempranillo as well. It's a very serious wine despite this modest price point, and it's one that's done extremely well with critics. Jancis Robinson in particular is definitely a fan of this wine. Given the fact that this is a serious wine, they're already pushing the price up to try to get it more in line with the quality of this wine. So this is definitely a great opportunity to stock up on this one while you still can at these low prices. They made almost 700,000 bottles of this wine, so there's still plenty of it in retail channels. You'll definitely want to move quickly as the 2020 vintage already has some age on it, and they may come out with another vintage soon. This is a medium-bodied wine with pronounced aromatic intensity. Flavors and aromas include red cherry, raspberry, strawberry, red currant, and floral notes. To discover some of my favorite Bordeaux wine cellar defenders, please check out this video that's linked above.